Let's jump in.
All right, welcome to the Nerds and Friends podcast. This is episode 16, and we're very excited because we have Coach Brandon Johnson here with us today.
Yeah,
Happy to have you on the podcast, my friend.
happy to be here, man. Happy to be. You guys rock, man. Your energy. I know I'm just now meeting you. I mean, Josh, you've always had great energy,
Oh,
but
thank you.
you guys are inviting. I can tell you guys are ready to just chat it up. And I love the name too. Because I don't know if you guys, all right, here we go. I'm just going to show you guys something. You guys are nerds, right?
Oh, yeah.
No,
course.
no, in no way.
Do you know what
Hey,
that
Nice.
is? Are you
that's
kidding me?
awesome.
Wait. I got the collector set, man.
Oh,
Nice.
damn.
And I got so bad that my girl actually got these for me, but these are like some real deal stuff. Yeah, man.
Those
Don't
are great.
don't let the mohawk and the cool hair, fool you. I'm a flat out. Oh, anyway.
Dude,
Yeah.
I don't like I pitch to these guys all the time about like if you guys know anything about Dragon Ball Z, you need to go watch Team 4 Star on YouTube and their Dragon Ball Z Abridged series because I don't know how, but they make a comedic version that somehow is basically like the breakdown is just amazing. Like, oh yeah, like when you think about it and you really speed this up, Goku is kind of an idiot and Vegeta's the only competent person in the show, and they do such a great job of like putting that together. I highly recommend it if you haven't already seen it.
Yeah, man. And it's interesting because I'm in a few Facebook Dragon Ball Z groups and they make the comment, they're like, as you get older, you can understand the go-lucky of Goku, but you understand the realism of Vegeta.
Mm-hmm.
You
That's
know,
very true.
you can understand the realism of it and like the pride behind them that you have to have, especially as men, and especially in this world that we live in. Like, if you don't believe in yourself the way Vegeta believes in himself, take your ass back to sleep.
And he's got such a fascinating character arc too, because he starts as a villain, he becomes not the biggest problem anymore, and then he just kind of like settles into like not being a villain and not really being a hero until he has like a midlife crisis. It's a really interesting way to do a reformed villain character because he's just like, yeah, I got married and this wasn't that big of a problem anymore.
It's so awesome. And they say that another little like I said, I can get down with Dragon Ball Z, but they said Vegeta and Piccolo are proof that people can change.
Oh, it's so good.
That's
Yeah.
great. I love it.
Yeah, but what a way to start the call.
Perfect way to start the
Absolutely.
call. Jump into the Dragon Ball Z right off the bat. I love it.
Off the
I,
bat.
I already feel like we know a good chunk about you, but can you tell us about yourself?
Yeah,
I
man.
want to know about you. Like, where you from? How'd you get into what you do?
Yeah, so I guess we can go ahead and start with what it is that I do. Essentially, I believe that a career is something you go by, whereas your work is something that you're born with. And if you're not doing anything that resonates with your work, whatever that may be, well, this is why you're probably pissed off, angry, mad at the world, because you can make all the money with your career, but you're not fulfilled inside, right? So that's kind of like the frame of it. Now, what it is that I do, okay? I'm just a coach by nature. This right back here, this logo right here, that right there, that's Universal
Capoeira
Kempo
karate.
Karate. That's right. Josh, I think Josh trained many years ago, yeah?
I did, yeah, as a kid. It was great.
Yeah. Was it underneath my parents?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so what happens is number one, coaching, and number two, entrepreneurship. So my dad, long time ago, many moons ago, did a whole bunch of traveling over the Orient, blah blah blah, tried all these different kind of martial arts, like the typical 70s movie, right? Found a guy, got stationed because in the Navy, found a guy by the name of Martin T. Buell. Basically became like a father figure to him. Earned his first degree black belt, had to get stationed back here in Colorado. So that's where we're located. That's where I was born. Opened the first branch, like 42 something years ago.
Oh, wow.
Long story short, my mom started karate underneath him, right? So then she started karate. They fell in love, banged a whole bunch of times. Now I'm here. But the fact of the matter is, though, is
That's how it happens.
yeah, dude, it is because of the martial arts why I was conceived.
It's
So
awesome.
then check this out. It goes even further than that. As the company the karate schools start to grow and start to dominate Colorado, I'm growing up as well. So instead of going to a regular babysitter or going to a daycare, I have blades and knives and nunchucks and a mat. I also am sitting, learning how to walk on the mat, but as I'm learning to walk, I'm actually watching a round table of instructors because my parents are running karate schools and they're building leaders to go run their own karate schools. And through that, the domination of the franchise of Universal was created.
That's so cool.
Wow. It's intense, man. But then check this out. Like I said, coaching is all that I know because really it's all that I am. As I grow up, I believe, or it's actually science. The first 7 years of your adolescent years, you're actually in a theta state in your mind, in your brain, a certain kind of state where everything is just dumping in. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So
You're just in intake mode. Everything's an imprint.
Bam. So you got to think. I'm sitting around entrepreneurs. I'm sitting around people before the bang of the internet. And how are we going to grow this company, be resilient, at the same time training in the martial arts, where martial arts is simply nothing but self-discovery. Don't get me wrong. You're going to learn how to punch and kick and backflip and do cool tricks and break bricks and all that great stuff. But the only thing you're really understanding is what you're capable of. And then you get humbled by other people. And then you realize what you can be. As you start to discover more that your mind and your body and your spirit is all correlated into one thing, guess what happens? This is why many years down the road, I own what is known as, I guess we could say it like this, the Limitless Fitness Coaching Academy. What is that? It's an online coaching academy centered around helping entrepreneurs, career-driven individuals, business executives that have, unfortunately, through the duration and the creation of their business, have been neglecting themselves, neglecting their own joy. They got confused with their career instead of focusing on the work. And I'm a man of faith. I'm not the best Christian in the world, but God didn't put you here to have that career. He put you here to master what? Your work. Your work starts and ends with you. Your work starts and ends with the predication and the dictation of the principles, the pillars, and so forth, the expectations and standards you hold for your mind, your body, your spirit. So, growing up with all that I know, guys, I went to college for like 2 minutes, realized I was wasting a whole bunch of fucking money and time, and then I realized, you know what? I got to go focus on my work, not on my career. And it is through the guidance inside of the work, having beautiful mentors, and beautiful examples in front of me that has been able to lead me to what we do today. And we're very fucking good at it.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
That's really interesting that you've got a background like that. Because one thing that I always tell people, I really wanted to study martial arts growing up. I was but my parents just didn't have enough money. We were too broke. So what I did was I would go get those books that you could get from Borders at the time, which they'd have Kung Fu forms. And so I taught myself the basics of long fist Kung Fu when I was in high school. But then when I got into college and I had an ROTC stipend, I could finally pay, like, it basically took the whole stipend, but I could pay to go to Eastern Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in Boulder, Colorado. And I did that for a couple of years. I got my blue belt and I maintained that study, even though I hadn't been able to go to an academy for the whole time I was in the Army. But the one thing that I actually tell people is important about that is when I got blown up in Afghanistan, I ended up at the bottom of a completely wrecked vehicle, pinned under a bunch of equipment.
Jeez.
And the thing that I told myself, the outsides of this, like, completely still, like, it's still weird to me. I took a deep breath and my brain thought, it's all right. You've been guillotined by Brendan Schaub. You can survive this. So I was able to take a deep breath and chill. And ever since then, like, studying martial arts in various capacities has been something that has helped my recovery from traumatic injury personally.
100%. And dude, you wrote it out wonderfully. It's easy to be in a strong body, but a toxic mind, and then have the body be essentially the victim to that mind. It's easy to be in a strong mind, but in a body that's weak. And now your limitation comes from the physical manifestation of what you didn't take care of while you were taking care of the other thing here. But this is the key point. If you don't have the spirit to survive, like you fucking did underneath that car, then there's no point in having a strong mind or a strong body if you don't have the spirit to live, which brings it all the way back to potential, what you're capable of, and realizing where you are and how much further you have to go. Now your spirit is on fire. Now your mind and your body understand it. And now you have something to work towards, which is, again, only discovering more about yourself. As what I said, the martial arts is only about discovering more.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Oh yeah, man. I could tag these lines like
okay.
crazy.
I've got other questions, but I also want to pitch it to Josh and Caleb if you guys have one before I, because one of my nerd things is I am a fitness nerd. So this just kind of ends up being a big thing for me. So
yeah, buddy. Another huge inspiration was seeing how jacked Vegeta and Goku were when I was a kid.
Oh, absolutely. if you weren't looking for weighted clothing the second the internet was in the house, then I don't want to talk to you.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, those guys, I was like, man, the first bodybuilding inspiration. Still is.
Yep.
Still is. Good. So yeah, man. Any questions that you guys have, man, shoot them off.
Caleb, you got anything to go?
So I'm actually starting a podcast of my own called The Everyday Entrepreneur. So like entrepreneurs within organizations, because that's been something that's driven me throughout my career, is like being inspired by these awesome entrepreneurs like yourself, but still like loving, I guess, the comfort of being a part of an organization. I'm curious what your thoughts are on this concept of entrepreneurs.
Yeah. The way I'm going to answer this is inspiration comes from inside, whereas motivation comes from outside, right? Mm-hmm. Somebody punches my daughter in the face. Now I'm motivated to go kick some ass, right? But
yeah,
to practice the martial art comes from the inside because it's something that I just can't get out of my head, right? So for the entrepreneurs that are working in a big corporation, but they have aspirations to become something, to do something, to see something, create something, the number one thing I'm saying is you're not a tree. Meaning you can do more than one thing. As long as, one, you stay in the realm of the inspiration, but at the same time, you got to be, how can I say this? You got to be very aware of what is motivating you. Is I want to do this because I hate my job. That's a motivation that's outside of this person, which is more fuel to get the fuck out of there so they can do what they want.
Yep.
Or is it the alternate, which is I see what the people in my company are doing, and it's incredibly inspiring. And this is motivating me to want to become better outside of my work. And once we understand what the insertion is, neither one is bad, neither one is good. But the one thing that we have to do for the entrepreneur is understand you don't need all the skills, but you do have to let go of control.
Mm-hmm. That's hard for some people, letting go of control.
Yeah, for sure.
The thing is oftentimes entrepreneurs, they have a way of doing things that is very efficient. And don't get me wrong, you will be. But if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. But if you want to go for a very, very long time, go fast, go far, and go together. Right? So what does that mean? Entrepreneurs are inside their head 90% of the day, and they have everything resonating here. And oftentimes they need to be surrounded by people that can take that idea and magnify it. So entrepreneurs starting out, start. That's the first thing.
Right.
Start. Okay. Stop thinking about it. Start. Stop talking about it. Start. That, oftentimes I tell our new high achievers inside the LFAs, the heaviest weight at the gym is the front door. Okay. Once you get in, you're in. The heaviest.
Good way of saying it. Really good way of saying it.
The heaviest thing with your entrepreneurship is becoming an entrepreneur. Right. And stop keeping it in. So entrepreneurs are some of the most magnificent entrepreneurs because, boy, they know how to motivate themselves. Whether it is this person's really pissing me off and I'm going to go do something else, or this person is really inspiration and I can do it too. But then you actually have to do it. Get the hell out.
There has to be action. Yeah.
Yeah. And then
Love
that
it.
leads into, once you get started, don't get too ingested to a point to where you think that you don't need help, because that will be the deterioration of what you started. So what you need to do is find good people. You need to be surrounded by good people, trust your intuition and your awareness, and take your time. But then start to incorporate the art of delegating and task management.
Right.
So you can still hold power, but you're delegating the power. And now you're building leadership within your company because you are dividing trust. Then you can start to build yourself, your company, and your entrepreneurship journey. But you have to keep the newership and intrapreneurship.
Yeah. I've got something interesting to like add to that. I think one's kind of a psychology thing, and the other is more of a broad concept. As far as the psychology thing, does everybody here know what the Dunning-Kruger effect is?
You need to remind me. I've heard of it, but can you remind the viewers?
It's kind of talked a lot about in pop psychology, but basically it's the concept that somebody who is ignorant does not actually know how ignorant they really are. You know, and the big psychological example is, here's this criminal who was told that by someone that if he rubbed himself with lemons, he wouldn't be seen by security cameras. And he honestly was like shocked that the cops found him because he thought he was still invisible. Like that's like the baseline Dunning-Kruger effect example. But actually the psychologists that came up with the concept say that it's been misinterpreted in modern media, because instead of it being, a stupid person is too stupid to know how stupid they are, what it actually is it's a collaboration thing. It's much more, you don't know what you don't know. It's not that like and in order to fill that, like the one thing that would have saved that criminal from going and trying to rob a bank after rubbing lemon juice all over himself would have been to talk to Bill, who would have told him, nah, dude, I can see you. That guy's throwing you for a loop. And while that guy's IQ might not get any higher, he has now learned that, well, rubbing lemons on myself sure as hell doesn't make me invisible. And I feel like that's the same kind of thing with like delegation and spreading out your like knowing what you don't know and knowing like, all right, this is how much I can trust somebody who knows more about this than I do. And Josh is a great example of that with the many hats you've worn in film, actually, I think.
Yeah, delegation has been the hardest thing for me to learn, because like Brandon was talking about, you really have to be able to let go of the control, which is tough for me, because it's like, I know what I have to do and I know how I've done it in the past and how the results have come out. So to let go of that and trust others to get things done is, it's a hurdle for me, but the more I do it, the better it comes out. And the more I trust others and trust myself, it's really helped grow. And now I'm, a co-producer on a movie, and it's going really well because I've had to learn to delegate and stuff. And so that's a great example, Carey. Thank you.
That right there. Watch this. That discovery of opening yourself up is the same discovery as training in the martial arts. The parallel is exact. It's exact. It's not a little less. It's not a little more. It is exact. Because, okay, I can become a 3rd degree black belt. But if I'm not bringing up the next generation of black belts to teach the classes better than I can, but then not just teach a class, but keep it individualized to each student on the mat and their skill set. If I'm not teaching that and encouraging that and supporting that, then now the deterioration of what my parents worked so hard for begins. Right? So the fact of the matter is, guys, is the delegation, the way that I like to coach the entrepreneurs inside of the LFA is the delegation is not, it's not the, how can we say, it's not the exhaustion or the depreciation of leadership. It is the appreciation of your leadership that will continue to grow in the company. Because guys, the thing is Yes, you can build a wonderful business and you can build a wonderful lifestyle for you and your community and your employees, but people are not going to remember what you did. They're going to remember what you left behind. So are you delegating to take care of tasks, or are you delegating to improve the culture in the community? Because it's people first, machine second, right? So the entrepreneur is just, if you can build yourself and your leadership up to a point to where you can use your voice and not control, but motivate the other people to want to do better. That is how the company grows. When you have people that understand that you understand them, you care about them, and you're leading them, you are pouring into the people, they will build the business better than you.
It makes me want to go like call up all the rock star PAs on my movie and be like, let's talk about how you can build your career, you know, like that's awesome. That's really motivating.
Well, I learned it from watching the way my instructors and my family and my parents have grown the students into instructors, into school owners, into beautiful people.
That's awesome.
And it starts from the white belts, the little itty bitty peewees. What I mean, all the way up to full grown, adults, because martial arts is so much more than just punching and kicking. Entrepreneurship is so much more than just building a brand.
Yeah.
Building people. Oh, come on.
That's awesome. I'm all motivated now. I'm like, yeah. But I think a really important thing you touched on is collaboration, working with other people who have the same passions as you, the same interests, and who can bring skills that are different from yours. And so in a lot of ways, they'll be better than you. That's how you improve yourself. Like I like writing with Carey. I've co-written a book with Caleb. I've done a lot of writing with Carey. We've, collaborated on screenplays and books, and like, you guys help me elevate myself as a writer through collaboration. So I love that you're touching about building yourself as an entrepreneur, collaboration, surrounding yourself with good people. That's huge. That's critical,
There's a dark side of it as well, though.
Oh, let's talk about that.
No. And the dark side is being able to say no.
Boundaries.
Yeah. Being able to say no to the people that have ideas, that care about you, or have an agenda for you. To be able to have such a honed in yes that it gives you the power to say no. And oftentimes, entrepreneurs are going to say yes to anything and everything. They're going to be very reactive.
Yeah.
That's the beginning ship of entrepreneurship. Seasoned is becoming responsive. When you respond, you build respect. But when you're more reactive, you lose respect over the duration of time. If you're always available all the time, people will slowly start to lose respect for you, only because you don't validate your own time. Have you guys ever heard of the book 48 Laws of Power?
Oh yeah.
Not.
Yep.
That's Robert Greene, right?
Yeah, 48 Laws of Power. I have no idea.
It's a good book though.
Yes, but he talks about this exactly. I don't know what law exactly it is, but you can build the respect by removal of yourself. Right? Because now people value you because you're not always around. That's another power of delegation. If you do it right, you can step out of the picture, not to work in your business, but to work on it and the people in it. You work on the people, they'll work on your business. But you're not doing it because I'm better than you. You're doing it because I'm inspiring the people to become better.
Yeah. I'm reading this book called Essentialism right now, which is essentially the power of saying no.
That's awesome.
And it's really good for me in this time because since COVID, I've obviously worked from home, had a few different jobs, but now I have like the time to say yes to a lot more. But reading this book, it's very interesting to be like, actually, that's a bad thing to do, because then instead of going, 100 miles in one direction, you're going half a mile in 50 directions and you're not actually going anywhere. Which is really, really interesting concept to learn, because I feel like just deep down inside, I'm like, I don't want to disappoint people. So I want to say yes, and I want to try everything, and I want to learn. And it's like, well, you don't have to do that to be good.
Yes.
Yeah. So when you have certainty and clarity and you're empowered on your yes, it gives you permission not to say no. It gives you permission to say not yet. And oftentimes people hear no as never.
Right.
But no. Listen, this is a wonderful idea. However, with where our focus is right now, this is something that we're going to have to come back to. right?
Absolutely.
That is an excellent no. I love that.
I compliment it. It's called praise, correct, praise, or sandwich method, or Oreo method, right? Are you guys familiar with that?
Oh yes,
Yeah.
I worked customer service for many years, and I've learned my good sandwich method for sure.
Yeah. Give affirmation, confirmation. Give the credit, hit them with a little bit of sour taste or what they don't want to hear, and then follow it back up. But when
works really good for personal coaching too. Like if I always go, I would always go up to a lifter when I was coaching CrossFit and be like, all right, this about your squat is fucking fantastic. Let's change your feet, but keep the spine because that's what I want to see. And then like, that's what clicks with people. It's not just in business and negotiation. That's a tool for your conversational toolkit.
If you want to stop being screamed at by your lady, try that.
Marital advice right there.
Yep. I look good in this, but you don't really think so. You say, man, that ass looks great. You should maybe try the green one. That ass looks great.
It's a solid sandwich right there.
Wise words.
When you were talking about like the essentialness of like no and boundaries, I came back to this something I'm going through in therapy. It's called cognitive processing therapy, and it's had a really good the whole reason I looked it up is because it had a really great effect for soldiers with PTSD. It's a 12-session thing. It's very worksheet based. You get handouts, you do worksheets, and the worksheets build off of each other until about session 8. You've got like this big block of a worksheet that's like, what's the event? What's the negative thing you're telling yourself? What emotions do you believe? On and on down. And basically it's, here's what's fucking with you. And then you go down these questions and you narrow it down to short answer and then single word yes, no answers to, okay, now what are you now what's a better thought and how can you feel better? And in the session 10 near the end, and again, this is like PTSD. I recommend everybody that is dealing with trauma go and get therapy. Cognitive processing therapy is something that really worked for me. And in session 10, we're getting into giving and taking power. And there's a quad chart on the sheet that I'm looking at that is giving power on one side, taking power on the other. And then there's positive and negative aspects to both, which is giving power positively is being altruistic, while giving power negatively is basing your actions off behaviors solely on the reactions you expect from others. Taking power on the positive side is being assertive. Taking power on the negative side is that testing limits and behaving aggressively. So you've got these different ways that you can act in terms of like, you don't have to give all your power away. That is part of what a boundary is. You can be altruistic up to a point, but it was like Caleb was saying, if you're giving all of yourself away all the time, you're going in that 50 different directions in only a half mile in each way.
That's right. Ready for this? I'm gonna tie it back to martial arts.
Oftentimes
people think starting karate or starting any kind of martial art is to learn how to punch and kick and all that. They think it's about self-defense, which to an extent it is. What if I encourage you to think that all martial arts is self-defense against yourself? It's self-defense against the thing that's behind your eyes and in between your ears. Because how many African proverbs or any proverb out there says if there is no enemy within, then there is no enemy without. But then at the same time, if there is an enemy inside of here, it will contaminate your perception on everything. You can have the world's greatest opportunities in front of you, but if you are conditioning yourself mentally that you're not worth it, that you can't handle it, that whatever it may be, Vegeta, case in point, the opposite. Well, now you're looking at the perception that, listen, all true self-defense isn't just self-discovery, but it's defense against yourself. How to combat negative thoughts, how to combat self-sabotage, how to combat a freeze if you're in a situation instead of being in a flow state. Right? So
what it goes back to saying, if you're going to be responsive or reactive.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Here we go. So this is what I'm saying. Business, martial arts, the reason why I'm so clear and certain on it is because it's all that I know. Those are my dogs, by the way. They'll come say it.
That's awesome.
Oh, we're having a good conversation. Carry on, man.
This is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, actually, that's normally our wrap up podcast time. But since we're doing a great thing, does anyone have any other questions or things they want to say before we wrap up? Because this is awesome. The dogs have something they want to say, clearly.
Yeah.
I mean, tons. This is really interesting, but keeping this to a half hour is hard when you're actually talking about something that's like cool and fascinating that you got a lot of passion for, especially when you're talking with a passionate person.
Yeah, my next call is here in about 18 minutes.
Okay.
So and it's another Zoom call. I just switched to Zoom rooms, but
nice.
If we need to wrap it up, totally fine. If you guys have any further questions, I'm a complete open book, man.
After this, let the listeners know where they can find you if they're interested in your coaching services. I
will. Yeah. And do you guys have any further questions? Or are we good to wrap it up?
I think let's wrap it up, man. This has been awesome, though. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Dude, first off, God, that was fast.
Time flies when you're having fun.
That was damn quick. Second, I love what you guys are doing here. You guys are doing some awesome things. Happy to be a guest now and any point in the future at all, right? Now, as for myself, where you can go ahead and connect with me, my team. So, we're pretty much on majority of the platforms. We have a Facebook group. I'll go ahead and shoot you over the link. The Facebook group, it's the Fit and Wealthy Mastermind. And essentially what that is it's a combination of a lot of motivated people that are trying to build something for their names, but without neglecting themselves, right? Now that group is coming up on like 3,000 people.
Oh, wow.
Super awesome. In regards of the actual Limitless Fitness Academy, right? There's only 29. And that's not because we don't want the 3,000 people in there, but it is because we are very specific with who we work with. And we understand to be able to deliver the level of expertise. You can't bring everybody in because then guess what happens? We're spreading ourselves thin. Kind of that like going everywhere in 50%. Yeah. Right? We would like to know exactly. Does that mean we can't help these individuals? Of course. That's why we have that group of a powerhouse of people. So anyway, number one, go ahead and jump in the Fit and Wealthy Mastermind, okay? You'll have some membership questions in order to get inside of there. Just let her know that you're a listener to this awesome podcast.
Oh, thank you.
Okay? The second thing is you can find us on Instagram. Find me personally on Instagram. That's going to be coach.fitpro or coach.johnson.fitpro. And you just type that inside. And then I'm getting a little bit more active into TikTok, of course.
Nice. Same here. That's fun.
So, what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and I'll either do it myself or I'll have my assistant shoot you over inside your messenger because that's where we've been talking.
Yeah.
Just the links right inside of there. And then, if you let me know, any listeners or any of you three, that you guys came from this and I got a special spot for you.
Oh, yeah. Awesome. Yeah, we'll keep you in the loop for sure, man. Thank you so much.
Hey, thank you.
Great chatting with you.
Yeah.
Very much appreciate it.
You guys enjoy the rest of this year.
Yes.
Right? Lock it down. But at the end of the day, if there's anything I can leave you guys with, what you don't change, you choose.
I like that.
It is make sure you're making the right choices.
Oh, I feel all motivated, man. You got me going. I love it.
All right, fellas. I'm getting out of here.
All right.
You guys take care.
Thanks so much, guys.
See ya.
Have a good one, everyone.